Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the No Raptors, No Life podcast, where we talk all things and everything Raptors basketball. For this episode, I'm going to be recapping the Raptors' 134-110 Game 1 victory over the Brooklyn Nets. Now, on to the game. This was a relatively easy game, I would say. Probably the most stress-free Raptors playoff game I had ever experienced. At some point, there was no point during the game where like my heart was beating super fast, and I felt like I was gonna get a heart attack every single time. Just compared to last year, but like this time around, I was super confident going in that we were gonna take care of business, and hey. That's what winning a championship does, right? It does to the players and does to the fans, that they just come in with this newfound confidence, with their team that maybe Raptors fans have never really experienced before, but which is very, very good feeling. Not gonna lie, but yeah, on to the game. Right off the bat, I mean, this was expected from the Raptors. I knew that they were gonna come out and just completely swarmed the Nets with their defense, and that's exactly what they did. At the start of the game, they made it very clear to everyone that their focus is on Caris LeVert, right? As I mentioned in my previous episode when I talked about this series, they're gonna have to watch out for LeVert, and they're gonna be basically keying in on him, and that's what they did. They just every time he got into the paint, like he either faced a double team, he was being guarded by Fred and Kyle, and those guys, we know what they do. That they were just getting under his skin, not letting him get anything easy, and it just seemed like right off the bat that they were just gonna take LeVert out of the game and let anybody else but him beat them, right? And LeVert struggled. He struggled in the beginning. Overall, he didn't really have like a bad game. He had like 13 or 15 assists or something like that. I don't remember correctly. I don't have the stats in front of me, but like, but yeah, LeVert. He was like still making the right reads. He knew what the Raptors were gonna throw at him, and he kind of adjusted accordingly. But this Nets team, I still think for them to win a game against the Raptors, they're gonna need him to score a lot more than just 15 points, I think. But yeah, and you can just see that right away that they were just picking. Once he crosses that half court line, a guy just comes and just picks him up, right? They were not letting him get anything easy. And a couple noticeable things from the first half on the Raptors side would be Marc Gasol looking to be more aggressive than I feel like I have seen him in his 2 seasons with the Raptors. Like he was fully like when Jared Allen was not on the court or he was switched on a mismatch, Gasol made it an effort to take advantage of a smaller defender and just bullying him. Like at some point, he had like the net Jacques Vaughn put Rodion's Kurucs in there as a center guarding him, and Mark just immediately recognized that and just used his size to just bully him. And speaking of Kurucs, he had like 5 fouls in the first half. That's just how bad Kurucs was playing, and one good sign, and then you have Serge getting going, which is very good to see. He went out there, he was looking fresh after sitting out the last few games of the seeding games, because coming in right as the actual games began, Serge just was not playing well, and maybe he just needed that break. He just needed to sit out a little bit and then come back right in time for the playoffs. And here he is looking fresh. He hit 3 straight field goals to start off the game, and at some point he even took like a heat check 3, which shows and that right there just kind of shows what kind of night we're going to be getting from Serge. But One concern about Serge is in the third quarter, his rim protection was a little bit out of sorts. Like, he had Jared Allen do like a stretch dunk on him. Karis LeVert got an and one on over him. So yeah, I think Serge just needs to, tweak things a little bit on that end and get and everything should be good. But overall, not mad at Serge's performance. He did great. He was hitting the shots that he was hitting all year long. And yeah, it's just good to see the old Serge back. But there was, however, a bit of a scare in the first quarter. Like, Norm got hit in the groin. Of course, it wasn't really a serious injury. He just kind of got kicked there. But watching it live, like, I didn't see the whole thing happen. I just saw Norm kind of go down, and I was concerned because, like, Norm is having a career year so far, but despite that, he was. A lot of things were kind of hampering him. Like, he was facing with like multiple injuries all year long, and then of course the league got suspended in March. And then now that we're back, it took Norm a few games to get back into his groove. It seems like he did, and then when he went down, I was like, Norm, please, like, this, we can't lose you at a time like this, man. Like, we need Norm's 20-point scoring as he was doing before the lockdown happened. And but yeah, after a timeout, he seemed to be fine. He just kind of got kicked there. Doesn't really seem anything serious. I thought he like injured it, pulled something down there or something, but he got up and he hit a three right away. So no concern afterwards there. But yeah, after the first quarter, we already have 37 points on them, which is kind of crazy to think about, like, just how smooth things are going for the Raptors. Because, like, but yeah, going on to the second quarter, the lead just continued to grow for the Raptors. We were up by 26 at some point. The threes were going in. Like, we were almost up by 30, which eventually we did. Like, we ended the quarter, we were up like 33 at some point in the game, and then there was a really weird moment in the second quarter where Jacques Vaughn made a really weird challenge on a call. Like, I think it was Marc Gasol posting out Garrett Temple, and Mark was getting hooked. Like, Temple had his arm like hooked, had his arm hooked onto Mark's left arm, and Mark obviously didn't initiate any contact at all, and before that, like, the refs even checked, right, if Mark was fouled before the shot clock. Like, everything was already checked in a replay, and then right after that, Jacques Vaughn challenges the call for whatever reason. Like, it was so obvious that Garrett Temple was the one that fouled him, and he still challenged the call. I just found that really weird, and of course it was like an unsuccessful challenge, and that foul kind of bailed us out of that possession because the shot clock was running down. It was like 0.1 when Mark got a shot off, so yeah, we kind of got bailed out over there. But yeah, just basically from what I saw from Mark, slim Marc Gasol has arrived. He looked very mobile. He looked very mobile. As one thing that was noticeable that coming into the bubble was the question of how is Mark going to be more mobile? Is he going to be more quick? And he's definitely shown more quickness than he did before, compared to before, which is good. And then in the first half, Kyle Lowry, 3 charges. I mean, at this point, like, are we even like surprised that Kyle is taking 3 charges? Like, at some point he broke up like a 3-on-1 fast break with the charge. Like, literally only Kyle Lowry would do that, and of course, just knowing him, like, the way he knows how to rotate and get in front of defense and just get a step ahead of ahead of the guy who was like barreling towards the rim, all that. We all know Kyle is very good at doing that, and 3 charges taken in the first half. Like, what more can we expect? What more do we expect from Kyle, right? But yeah, on to the second half. This was when things started to get a little bit scary. I don't want to really say scary because, like, well, the Nets made a comeback. Like, they cut down a 33-point deficit and got it to single digits at some point in the third quarter, right? The Raptors defense seemed to be kind of sleepwalking a little bit, but when you're up by that big and things were going so well for you in the first half, I think it's natural for most teams to just kind of take their foot off the pedal for a little bit. And the Nets took full advantage of that. Kudos to them. They made some big plays. Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot was just hitting shot after shot. But even then, when things seem to be getting a little bit worried for the Raptors, you had guys coming out, hitting some timely shots to keep that lead, and stuff, and of course, one of the guys doing that was, without a doubt, the MVP of the night, Fred VanVleet. 33 points. That right there is finals Fred VanVleet performance. Like a playoff career high. Man, like he was on like dropping 33 points and on really good efficiency too, right? And it was just like everything that Fred basically threw up, I feel like it was going in. Like he was hitting pull-up 3 after pull-up 3, and it was just his night, and just nobody on the Nets can guard him. At some points, like one of maybe like the highlight of the night was Fred hitting Jeremiah Martin with a little step back move, had him flying back a little bit with enough space, and just hit a 3 right afterwards. And look, going forward, like I'm pretty sure the Nets are gonna adjust to this, but you can't put small guys on Fred. You just can't do that. You have to put a bigger guy on Fred, because like if you put small guys like Chris Chiozza on him or Jeremiah Martin, Fred is just gonna bully those guys straight up, man. Like, but yeah, great, incredible performance from Fred VanVleet. Really hopes he keeps this up, because like, we're gonna be kind of expecting Fred to be putting up these performances in the playoffs. Clearly he's not the same player as he was before the baby anymore. So hey, kudos to Fred, man. Big shout out. And back to Kyle Lowry. Look, when he hit that 3, the first thing I thought about was, no zero. This is not going to be a 0-point game for Kyle Lowry, right? And then he was just hitting shot. He was hitting a couple shots early, and that's a good sign. When Kyle Lowry's actually scoring, you know what? It's a great sign, and yeah. And of course, third quarter, Karis LeVert kind of came alive a little bit. He adjusted to the Raptors defense and was able to get going a little bit, and get going a little bit, which is also one of the big reasons onto how the Nets were able to come back, of course. And then like during the third quarter, the Raptors to me kind of ran a little bit too much ISO. They started just going ISO ball instead of like getting into their set, getting the ball moving side to side. And yeah, but then after the fourth quarter, things just began to change, and a big part of that has to do with Terrence Davis. Look, I'm gonna say it for the last time, like, TD, after coming in after the seeding game started, he hasn't really been playing well. Of course, he was slapped by a controversy partway through those games, but it looks like today, the old TD that we know is back, right? The TD that's out there, not afraid of taking shots, not afraid of getting to the rim, and just showing a lot of energy. Like, to me, a lot of it, like TD's energy really helped swung momentum towards our way, right? The way he was just driving downhill, going at the defense and just collapsing the Nets defense, which I think was huge for them, because the Raptors, like, throughout the entire game, nobody was really able to do that. And like, of course, you don't really expect anybody on the team to be able to just use his athleticism and speed to drive and get to the rim like that, right? Of course, there's Norm, but Norm didn't really do much of that. Pascal didn't do really much of that. I'll get to Pascal in a bit, but seeing TD able to just blow by his man, drive into the paint, draw defenders, was a bit of a changing, was kind of a bit of a turning point for the Raptors, because now with a guy like that, just the Nets just can't really now they have to think of another way to defend now, because they have a guy like TD out there driving. Like, he got an and one driving on two defenders. That was incredible. And just overall in the fourth quarter, you know, we looked more energized again. You know, they know, like, hey, the Nets got back in it, but let's just close this thing off, and that's what they did. Just like the Raptors do, let's just take care of business, close these guys out, and led to a comfortable win. And of course, Fred VanVleet continued to be hot. That little step back move he did was in the fourth quarter, I believe, if I remember correctly. But overall, very comfortable fourth quarter. Close out the game, and then at the end there was like a scuffle between Justin Anderson and TD, which is kind of weird. Like, dude, you lost the game already. Just let's just get out of here, man. But yeah. And then for Pascal, like, look, I still have faith in Pascal that he's gonna figure it out. You know, he struggled a lot in this. I wouldn't say he struggled a lot, but like, he definitely struggled in this game. Couldn't really. He was again missing a lot of shots that I feel he missed a couple of shots that I feel like he could have scored, but he didn't. But of course, but you know, we know that with smaller defenders on Pascal, we know that every time he gets into the post, guys are gonna bring doubles, they're gonna swarm him, and a good sign was that he was making the right reads, right? Like, he was getting doubled, and he knew where to kick, and he knew where to kick the ball out to, which is of course a promising sign, because we know Pascal is going to face those kinds of defenses all throughout the entire playoffs, and he's going to have to be able to make those kinds of reads. And the other thing is him getting to the free throw line, which is again another thing that's very good to see, because look, when you're a star player and you just couldn't get going, what they do is they just draw fouls and get to the free throw line, right? That's what DeMar DeRozan used to do, right? When his shot wasn't really falling, he would just go in there, you know, hit his defender with little pump fakes, you know, step into them, drawing fouls, going to the line and all that. And that seemed like what Pascal was doing. Like, he maintained aggressive, going at the defense, and eventually, you know, the calls were gonna start going his way, because at the start, the refs weren't really giving him them calls, but afterwards, you know, when he maintained aggressive, he basically kind of had to force the refs to give him those fouls, and that's what he's got to do going forward when he's gonna struggle, because, like, look, he's gonna be going up against some better teams, better defenders, better players, so he better be ready to know what to do when he struggles. And hey, he showed today, but nonetheless, I still hope that Pascal has better games going forward, which I believe he does. And look, I know Pascal catches a lot of heat from a lot of people, but like, look, listen, this is Pascal's first year as a number one option, right? Of course, like, overall the season, it was a very crazy season for everybody in the NBA, right? And for him to have a season like this, right, being a number one option, there are going to be a lot of ups and downs, right? Like, he's not because you got to understand what he came into the league as, right? He came into the league drafted 27th overall as a hustle guy, rebound guy, and an energy guy that just runs the floor, catches lobs, and scoring in transition, right? That was what Pascal was when he first came into the league. And then really for him to make this jump to even be a number 2 option as he did last year was already more than enough. Like at this point, I think Pascal has already exceeded expectations. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna stress too much about Pascal. Like, I'd rather have him struggle now, because if struggling now means that means it's gonna be like a good learning experience for him, then I'm all for it. Because like down the line, I'm just gonna need Pascal. You're really just wanting Pascal to be better later on, which is why I think it's good for him to struggle now. Like if there's a time for him to struggle, it's for him to struggle now. And yeah, but I do believe that Pascal is gonna have at least one breakout game during this entire playoffs. So, but yeah, that really does it for my recap. Overall, stress-free game. And hopefully this whole entire series is going to be stress-free. But yeah. So once again, thank you everybody for listening. If you guys enjoyed it, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will be back with you guys on maybe Wednesday or maybe Thursday after game 2. So yeah, everybody have a